Hi, welcome to another episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Chris Costa.
And I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
Hi, Joanne.
Hi, Chris.
How can I help you today?
Well, I have an invoice that my customers overpaid, and they'd like to get a refund, and I'm not sure how to do that in Enterprise. Can you show me?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Okay, we're of course going to start in accounts receivable. Let me show you an example that I have actually started. Okay, so if I open up my customer account list and scroll down to account 888, I can click on the transactions, and you can see I actually have two receipts on account here, and I'm going to process this one here that they've overpaid $100.
Okay.
Okay, they actually want this money back.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm actually going to write off this receivable credit by issuing a debit journal in AR, and then the corresponding entry is to go into accounts payable and issue a quick payment.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to close out of here, and the first step of the transaction is to go and create a debit journal. I'll of course choose the customer account, the value that was overpaid, which in this case is $100. It is going to want a general ledger code. Now I have a GL code set up for customer refunds. Okay, typically what you will do is set this GL code not only on the debit journal but also on the accounts payable check as well. So it basically acts as a pass-through account.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll select that. You can type in a description if you want. I'll just type in refund for now. And then, of course, you can add a transaction to apply this against. So I'm going to go ahead and select my $100 credit balance. And I do have to enter in the value to apply, which again is $100 in this case. And then I can save the transaction. Okay. This step, of course, is to write off the receivable credit balance. You need to do that first. That gets the receivable credit off the AR side. And then step 2 would be to go into accounts payable, and you can process the payment so you can issue the check. Okay, so I'll post this transaction, and that writes off the credit balance. And now we're ready to go into accounts payable and process the payment.
Okay, well, does that going to mean that I have to set up a new vendor for every single one of my customers that I give a refund to?
No, absolutely not. What you can do there is set up one supplier generically called maybe customer refunds.
Okay.
Okay, and then you can use the remit to button on the bottom of the supplier maintenance and just adjust the address information so that when you print the check, it prints out that information.
Okay.
All right, and I can start there to show you how that will be. So if we go into accounts payable and I go into supplier maintenance, you'll notice I have a supplier already set up for customer refunds. I'm going to click edit. Notice I have it set up very generically, just supplier ID, supplier name. But then when you're processing this individual transaction, you can hit the remit to address and type in the customer's address here. So when you process that transaction and then print the check, this is the address that will print out on the check.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll say okay here. And now let's go ahead and process that payment. So I'm going to initiate through batch entry. I'm going to click add, and I'm going to choose a payment batch. And again, you can type the description here, refund of overpayment, for account 888, something to that effect. I'll go ahead and save the batch, and I'm going to add a transaction to it. Of course, selecting the customer refunds. Total payment, again, is still the $100. Payment method, check. Grab my check number. And in this case, I'm just going to do it as a quick payment. I don't need to create an invoice and then pay it. I'm just going to create the payment as a quick payment. So I can select that same GL code that we used on the debit journal here, which is the customer refunds. Select it. And because it's a quick payment, I don't need to apply against anything. I'm just going to save and post. Okay, and then I can close and go to my batch inquiry, and I can then print the check. Okay, and you're going to notice that the address that we put into the remit to section prints out on the check. So when you do your next customer refund, you could just go into the remit to section again, just alter that address, and it will print, with that new address for the next time you have to do it.
Okay, that's perfect.
Okay.
But now what if my customer doesn't want a refund? What if they just want the credit on their account to be used at a later date? What
Sure.
do I do?
You can do that as well. Okay, so let me just close out of here. Close here. And if I go back to AR, if we remember from the beginning, I actually had 2 credits on this particular account. The other one was the $75 credit. Okay, so I could elect to leave this on their account until they do their next invoice. And the way you can do that very simply is on the very next invoice transaction for this customer, you can click on the prepayment button, and right down here where it says open payment transaction number, you can access a list and bring in this receipt as a prepayment and just use it for that next invoice.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, and there's actually a video that we did not that long ago that kind of goes into that with a little more detail on how to record prepayments in general, and also how to use those over-applied over-applied receipts to the invoice. So, whether you want to use a prepayment in general, or whether you want to just do it like we just saw and actually bring it into an invoice, you can do that as well.
Okay, thank you.
So you can reference that video from about 3 or 4 weeks ago and see that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sure. Anything else I can help you with?
No, that was perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay, sure. Well, thank you for watching this episode of EPMS Tech Talk. I'm Chris Costa.
And I'm Joanne LaFlamme.
Be sure to look forward to more to come.